Hey guys, IcyCat here. Today the patch notes and the new test server session for the first season of Year 4 went live, and there was one interesting surprise that they're working on. They're altering the way down but not out is handled in the game, and that could fundamentally change the way you play. So going over the list of all the patch notes, there's nothing that's a surprise in here. Everything is outlined the way it was when we revealed all of the information yesterday. But if we scroll down to the bottom of the patch notes as seen here on the subreddit, you can see that there is an addendum. And that middle line there is the one that's really going to interest us. It says hit points after being revived from a down but not out state reduced from 50 to 20 for PvP and 15 for terrorist hunt. So this is obviously a pretty big change. Now when somebody comes and manually revives you after you've been downed, you will only have 20 hit points in PvP and 15 in terrorist hunt instead of the normal 50 you would have gotten. Now that whole risk reward for going out and exposing yourself and getting that downed player, you might be really putting yourself in a difficult situation to do so, exposing yourself to some fire, putting yourself in that vulnerable animation state where you can't return fire while you're engaging in that heal, now has far less reward tied to it for doing so. 20 hit points puts you at a one-shot kill state for most weapons in the game at moderate to close range. This also takes away the concept of the reset. So when you get down to like 30 or 40 hit points, you may ask somebody to shoot you in the foot, or you might take a dive off the top of a roof so that another player can reset you and put those hit points back up to 50. Now some people think this is a bit of a goofy mechanic, other people do it regularly. Now it's not for me to say whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's something you'll no longer be able to do if this test server change winds up going into effect. Now let's put this into perspective. If we take a look at some of the attacking operators that can do revives, we're now making it no different than what they are in some ways. If Finka activates her ability and gives you that revive, you're going to get those temporary 20 hit points, and then when those wear off, you'll be left with the 20. Now previously, if you had been manually revived, you would have had an advantage, but now there's no difference between that and somebody that had 1 hit point remaining. In either case, when those 20 temporary hit points wear off, whether it's 20 hit points or 1 hit point, you're going to be killed with 1 hit. With 50, you may have been able to take 2 or even 3 rounds, depending at the extreme range with damage fall off. Also, now there's pretty much no difference between a player that has been revived manually versus Zofia using her withstand, and she only gets that 1 hit point back when she gets up. But again, if either of you can be killed with 1 shot, what's the difference between that 1 hit point Zofia gets and the 20 hit points you get back from being revived manually? Now there are going to be some examples where that hit point difference will still matter. Having those 19 more hit points than Zofia has would allow you to still deal with stepping on a goo mine. Or if you're a defender, getting hit by Twitch's taser drone. Anybody brushing up against an electrified wall that would only take 3 points of damage won't get killed at 20 hit points versus 1, but what I'm really talking about here are gunfights. And put yourself in a situation like this where you spawn into the game and you wind up getting spawn peeked. There's typically a long distance involved in that, so damage fall off is going to be pretty significant, which means even if you take a few rounds, unless you get a headshot, you're probably still going to be able to run up to the building. But if you've got less than 50 hit points, you would have been able to reset yourself. That would at least allow you to get inside the building with 50 hit points. Even though you had been spawn peeked, it wasn't necessarily a death sentence. But again, in most gunfights, that's still going to mean a 1-hit kill penalty now. Unless we're at extreme ranges where damage fall off really factors in, there's not many guns in the game that won't be able to take you out with 1 bullet at that point. Now this does kind of create an interesting buff for Doc. His healing is going to be more universally needed now. And for Doc players that actually remember to heal their teammates instead of just saving them all for themselves, that could be a benefit to them. But one thing this definitely means is that overall, players are going to be a little bit more fragile now than they were before, at least during the test server phase. Whether or not that winds up making it into the full implementation of the game in a few weeks will be something we'll have to keep an eye on and see. But the question is this a good thing for the game, or do you think that this changes things in a way that is not so great? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Now, over the coming weeks in both the test server and when the main build goes live, I will be covering all of that, so if you haven't already, please do like and subscribe. Make sure you click that notification icon so you get alerted as soon as new content becomes available. You can also follow me over at IcyCat25 on either Facebook or Twitter. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.